Are some sports too dangerous for kids? A little warning, I am a little sick today, and so my voice will not be as good as it is usually. Sports. We've been doing them since, well, as far as we can remember. Little cavemen did sports like this. We don't know exactly what they did, but according to cave drawings, their sports was throwing spears, killing animals, and then eating those animals as trophies instead of wearing gold medals. Later on, that evolved into, well, lots of other things, such as Pokotok, where people actually thought these sports meant something, where if you succeed in Pokotok, you will become life. And if you lose at Pokotok, well, you go ahead and you're sacrificed to the gods. Other accounts say that the winners were sacrificed to the gods, but the accounts vary a lot. And nowadays, we have things like football, American football to be more exact, as well as British football, which most Americans call it soccer, and some people even spell it soccer. But in the end, they are pretty dangerous. Back then, sports themselves meant death. However, nowadays, they're much safer, and almost no one dies. The only occasion that someone dies is when there's a little accident, and even those are pretty rare. Now, the point of this debate itself is to show whether sports should be banned altogether or at least made safer, or if the sports that we have right now are okay. And here we go. So, as always, we have the pros and the cons. Let's get to start with. Now, the pros themselves say that sports themselves are very dangerous. Some sports have higher risks of concussion, otherwise known as knockout, unconsciousness, memory loss, etc., as one of the possible effects, and extreme cases, long-term memory loss, or sometimes even death. There's a higher risk of concussion in some sports than others. Like there's a higher risk of concussion in football because well, everyone's bumping heads, or soccer where everyone can even just collide into each other and both of them have concussions. While the cons go ahead and say that, well, nowadays we have better equipment, better padding, we have like better gear, we have better padding inside those gears, we even have mouth braces or whatever they call those to protect the mouth, and we even have better rules that make these sports safer, as well as making training a bit more safe as well too. Coaches are given better training programs so that they know exactly what to do when someone's hurt, and so many other things as well too. This all helps to protect against the injuries, and we have had less injury rates than we did in the past. And now back to the pros. Now the pros themselves say that collision and contact sports, collision sports is more like in sports where you can collide into each other, like slam into each other, while contact sports is like the worst thing that can happen is like smashing into each other, and the least dangerous thing that can happen is like bumping into each other, like moving and brushing up against each other. All of those cause many serious injuries, and because all of those cause many serious injuries, we can have pretty fatal ones and pretty impacting ones too. One game is worth like a lifelong time of short-term memory loss. And then the cons also say that memory loss and all those concussion things, all those injury rates, they're practically lower than they were before. In fact, if you compare sports nowadays injury rates to like say 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, they're way lower. Mainly because the rules have changed, and mainly because we also have changed a lot of the other things as well too, such as better gear, and better rules, and better coaches, and better medics. The pros that go on to say that, well, some sports can even cause long-term or even lifelong problems as well too, and some of these sports, most kids just play by themselves. They're unsupervised, meaning that no adult is there to help them, or no medic is there to go ahead and help them whenever they really need it too. Whenever they need help, it's not there. That's why they need a supervisor. But most of these are unsupervised. In fact, some of them are even rough and rowdy because they are unsupervised. And so those sports are too dangerous for kids. And then we later on and go ahead with the cons. And the cons go ahead and say that the sports are more helpful than harmful for a person's health. It's better to exercise at least 1 hour a day than like say going ahead and doing something else for that day, like staying idle. In fact, staying idle is probably more dangerous than like doing something. And organized sports are there to make sure that the sports are done and supervised, and they're done safely. If they are done safely, no one gets hurt, or if someone is get hurt, they will be healed pretty quickly, unless it is a pretty serious one too. There are reparations, people owe people things, and there is honor inside the organized sports. And so all we have to do is organize sports better for young kids at least. Make sure that young kids are at least supervised, and make sure that the injury risk, and we have better coaches, medics, rules, and equipment. We have the proper ones. Not like the improper ones that some shows use and some cheapskates use themselves too. And so, that is pretty much the end of our sports too dangerous for kids. In my opinion though, I think that sports, some of them, yes, they're too dangerous. I mean, shooting a gun is too dangerous for kids. But football, soccer, swimming, basketball, yeah, those are safe. We should allow people to do them. The worst someone can do is like intentionally hit someone on the head, or unintentionally hit someone who's just walking past. And that's it. That's it. That's the end of the debate. Are some sports too dangerous for kids? I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, now, peace. Bye bye.